President Biden's campaign says June is now their best fundraising month yet, raking in $127 million. The president's campaign manager says it shows Biden's supporters are standing behind him. Let's bring in Galen Druke, host of the 538 Politics podcast, for more. Galen, how important is fundraising for President Biden right now, and these numbers, being able to report them given the doubts raised from his debate performance?
Diane, to be totally honest, it's somewhere between not very important and totally irrelevant. So obviously the debate was on June 27th, which means that most of this fundraising would have happened before the debate ever took place. But if you think about it, what is the point of fundraising in a campaign? It's ultimately geared at influencing voters' opinions, either through advertisements or building up an apparatus to get out the vote. The reality is, I don't know how much campaign spending it would take to match the degree of influence that the debate on Thursday night had. 50 million people watched it, and just about every potential voter in America has seen clips of it. That is the kind of sort of media impact that campaign funding, campaign spending on ads would have a very, very difficult time, maybe impossible time, trying to match. Now, you know, on top of that, in a presidential race, money doesn't oftentimes make the difference. If it did, for example, Hillary Clinton would have won in 2016. Money has the biggest impact in down-ballot races where voters aren't really familiar with the candidates and you're trying to introduce yourself. Everybody knows who Joe Biden and Donald Trump are, and just about everyone saw the clips from the debate Thursday night.
And I want to ask you about those down-ballot races, because Democratic Congressman Mike Quigley is now urging Biden to consider the impact on those down-ballot races if he stays in this campaign. He says polling could be the only thing to change the president's mindset on this. So what are you watching for there?
Yeah, well, what we've seen in the limited polling that we've gotten since the debate on Thursday is that Biden is down compared to prior to the debate. So in 538's polling average, Trump is now up by about 1.5 points. Of course, he's up even more in the battleground states that will determine this election. There's about a 2-point gap between the national polling and the polling in the northern battleground states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So there we could expect Trump's lead to be more like 4 or 5 points, and in the southern battleground states, even more. I would suggest that people also wait a minute. The picture could even get worse. We're still looking for more polling to come out post-debate. We have seen a significant shift, a notable shift in a close race so far. I should also say that President Biden and his team has suggested they care what the voters think. They don't care what the pundits think or the people calling on him to step down, whatever. That's what the polling gets at. Right. And when it comes to the polling on how Americans feel about his age, already in March, in New York Times polling, a majority of his 2020 voters said that he was too old to be an effective president. And we have seen some of the largest deterioration in his numbers since the debate be amongst Democrats.
Now, former President Trump is expected to announce his VP pick any day. What are you hearing on that front? How much could that influence all of this?
Well, first of all, I think the former president is probably not trying to step on a news cycle that is very, very bad for the current president. So his advisors may be suggesting that he hold his horses for the minute, because as soon as he announces, all of our attention is going to turn to that person. But he'll be announcing who his vice presidential pick is in the run-up to the Republican National Convention. And we know from history that candidates usually get a convention bounce. They're put in a very bright light, a positive light. He'll be picking a vice presidential choice. And so that could further exacerbate the problems for Joe Biden if Trump goes further up in the polls as a result of the positive attention from picking a VP candidate and the Republican National Convention.
All right. 538 Politics podcast host Galen Druke. Thanks, Galen.
Thank you.